They were Hollywood royalty, famous, powerful, and completely unexpected. When Cher, the queen of pop, and Val Kilmer, the Top Gun heartthrob, fell in love, no one saw it coming. But behind the glamorous red carpets and flashing lights was a relationship full of laughs, inside jokes, tender moments, and eventually, deep heartache. And now, with Val Kilmer's recent passing, Cher is pulling back the curtain on their private love story. And trust me, it's not what you think. Wait, hold on. Did you know that 99% of you watching right now aren't subscribed? If you enjoy my content and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button. It takes just a second, but it means the world to me and helps keep this channel going. Join the family and let's grow together. Now, back to the story. It all began in the early 80s at a simple birthday party. Cher, already a global icon, met a young and charming Val Kilmer, 14 years her junior, and sparks flew. But it wasn't love at first sight, at least not in the traditional sense. According to Cher herself, it started with laughter. "We became friends because we laughed at the same things constantly," she shared. Val would crash at her place, and what started as sleepovers among friends eventually blossomed into something deeper. It wasn't just passion, it was mutual admiration and wild, uncontrollable fun. Now get this, these two didn't even call each other by their real names. That's how deep and hilarious their bond was. Val never called her Cher. Nope. To him, she was Ethel. And he was Sid. Why? Because yelling Val and Cher across the house felt too ordinary. And when things got extra dramatic or romantic, they upgraded to Valus Maximus and Cherus Reprimandus. Sounds like something straight out of a Shakespearean comedy, right? But in truth, it reflected their entire dynamic. Playful, eccentric, and larger than life. But even fairy tales have their cracks. Despite the laughs and love, both Cher and Val were, in her words, alpha males. They were strong, headstrong, and fiercely independent. "We were both individuals, and neither of us was going to give up on that," she admitted. And when two big personalities collide, it can be electric or explosive. Eventually, their romance ended. But their friendship? That stood the test of time. Even after their split, Cher and Val stayed close. Not Hollywood close, but real close. They'd text, email, and Val always tried to get Cher to swing by his studio, but the superstar would shy away from big crowds. "He always wants me to come and do something, and then I just go, 'I can't, Valus, I just can't,'" she said. Their conversations may have faded in frequency, but the affection never did. Then came the heartbreak. In 2015, Val Kilmer was diagnosed with throat cancer. His once commanding voice was reduced to a whisper, and his body was ravaged by the treatments. But through it all, Cher was there. Not just emotionally, but physically. In his memoir, Val revealed a terrifying moment when he woke up vomiting blood. "It was like a scene out of The Godfather," he wrote. Who did he call after dialing 911? Cher. She was his hostess, his caretaker, his angel in the shadows. Cher stepped in and stepped up, he recalled. Those 5 words say more than 1,000 headlines ever could. And when Val's condition worsened, Cher offered him a place in her guest home. Quiet, comfortable, and close to someone who genuinely cared. It wasn't about fame or rekindled romance. It was about love. Real love. The kind that doesn't need labels or cameras, just presence. But sadly, on April 1st, 2025, Val Kilmer passed away at 65 from pneumonia. The news was confirmed by his daughter, Mercedes, in a solemn statement to the New York Times. And while tributes poured in from every corner of Hollywood, one stood out the most. "Valus," Cher wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "will miss you." It wasn't a long message, it wasn't overly poetic, but it was real. "You were funny, crazy, pain in the ass, great friend," she added. "Kids love you." She went on to praise him for being brilliant in his portrayal of Mark Twain and, more importantly, brave throughout his sickness. Cher's goodbye wasn't polished for the press. It was raw, emotional, and full of truth. In a recent interview with The Howard Stern Show, Cher reflected on their love one last time. "Sometimes, you're only meant to stay with someone so long," she said, and Val was really young. It was a bittersweet admission, one that acknowledges the beauty and the limitations of their time together. So, what do we take away from all of this? that behind the fame and fortune, behind the Oscar nods and gold records, Cher and Val Kilmer shared something rare, a bond that lasted beyond romance, a friendship that never faded, and a love that, even in death, still lingers. They weren't perfect. They argued, they clashed, they called each other bizarre names. But through it all, they respected each other's art, their individuality, and their hearts. And when Val needed someone most, when the cameras stopped flashing and the crowds went home, Cher was still there. Not as a superstar, not as a former flame, but as a friend. Rest in peace, Vallis Maximus. You were loved, and you will be missed. Would you ever guess Cher had such a tender and unshakable love story with Val Kilmer? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more untold celebrity stories you won't hear anywhere else.